Okay. Okay, Mike Marchev here, Inner Circle, February 22nd, I believe. And today is going to be a little bit of a different program, folks. Bear with me here. I have a special guest on the line, and we're going to talk about a very important topic. And the crux, hey, there you go, that's a big word. The crux of today's program is for you to sit back and listen to what's being said on the air, hopefully to stimulate, there you go, to stimulate your thinking and see how it relates to your specific personal business. Okay, so we're not going to cure all your ills today, but I want to talk about an important topic, and your mind, let your mind go, let your mind wander. And if there's any questions at the end of the program, we can address those address your questions. I have, as you know, waiting in the wings, Stuart Cohen. He has a very interesting story to share with us about niching and about leaving the industry after so many years and starting a new program, brand new, out of the blocks, and then how niching entered into his thinking. And I wanted to get him on the line to share that journey with us today. But that being said, before we start, as always, I have a couple of things I want to share with you today. And how does this work? Okay, stand by. Okay, you know, I'm still fuddling around here. I'll do that, and I'm going to do this. Okay, so our special guest today, as I just mentioned, was Stuart, and we're going to be talking about defining your niche and working with your niche. But before we do that, I just want to take a couple of seconds. I saw this. I want to share this with you folks. Biggest mistakes, entrepreneurs. That's you. That's me. Biggest mistakes. I'm going to rattle through these quick. Is you're good in travel. You say, okay, I'm going to start my own business. I'm an entrepreneur. Here we go. And we have these big, grandiose plans, okay? And it's a mistake that trying to dent the universe with our big, grandiose plan. And the truth of the matter is that our business is a learning experience, day by day, step by step, person by person, contact by contact. We're not going to solve all the problems in the world. You're not going to be the best thing since sliced bread, but you are going to step your way through a successful business. So mistake is thinking too big. Being excited, expecting those around you to be excited as you are. Folks, it's your business. Don't expect anybody to be as excited as you are about your business or, hey, about your ideas. Hey, I have an idea. Well, I'm excited about it, but I can't expect you to be as excited as I am. Why? Because it's my idea, not yours. So the secret, if we want to go to Sales 201, is to make it your idea, make my idea your idea. So when you buy into it, then you can make it fly. Being in love with the product, being in love with Alaska, being in love with river cruising, being in love with Bermuda, and not your client, not the person who's carrying the wallet. That's the person we have to focus on, not the ship, not the boat, not the destination, not the birds, not the whales, but the client in front of you. Number 4, being cheap. That's a bad word maybe, but not investing enough in yourself. Okay, reading, writing, seminars, workshops, books, reading, always learning, always learning. Being like your father, repeating leadership sins of the past. Yesterday, Lombardi, my way or the highway. It doesn't work that way anymore. You know that with your kids. You know, it doesn't, we have to, coaches today, they're dealing with 40 different personalities, not just one team. Very important. Being amazing. You trying to do it all is a mistake. You can't do it all. Don't try. You're going to kill yourself. You can't do it all. Being successful by avoiding risks. Okay. Hey, I'm successful. I'm not going to step out of this. I'm not going to step across the lines. Everything is great. It's a mistake, is that you're not risking failure. And as I've always told you, failure is the best way to learn and the best way to grow. And it's the best way to have fun. And being smart, not seeking the help you need. Okay. And I, for one, I've been in business a long time, 40, 45 years. I call on Stuart Cohen. I call on all kinds of folks that I know and I've met along the way, Nolan Burris, it goes on and on, inner circle people. I'm always talking and sharing ideas so we can learn. So you can't do it all by yourself. We need help. So I wanted to share that with you today, very quick, 8 big mistakes of entrepreneurs. And I saw this quote from Harvey Mackay. We're going to get to Stuart right now. You don't need a big close, as many sales reps believe. We got to close the sale. No, you risk losing the customer if you wait to the end. And the secret, according to Harvey Mackay, very successful envelope salesman, author, speaker, is that you involve the person early in the presentation. You get them talking, you get them sharing, you get them into the game early in the presentation, not just at the end on the close. And what Alan Weiss said in a quote that I want to share is, stop thinking you're trying to make money from, stop thinking about the money. I know it's hard, but start thinking about how I can help this person, how I can help this family, how I can help this honeymoon couple, with who I know, what I know, and how I do things, how I can really help you. And if you believe that, if you have that attitude adjustment, then you don't have to worry about calling people and asking to help them, because I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help you. I can help you. I can help you. And there's no apology needed. So that's what I wanted to open up today's meeting. I had this prepared before I called Stuart. And Stuart, you want to pop in now, Stuart? Stuart, come on in. And
consider me popped.
You are popped now, and I'm going to stop sharing the screen. And there you go. Okay, so folks, now you have two people on the screen. Both have beards. Don't confuse the two. I'm the one on this side with the black, and Stuart's the one over there with a blue T-shirt. And don't confuse the two. Stuart, I want to get to the topic of niching right now. And here's what happens. Yeah. Stuart's been in the travel business, folks, a long time, many, many, many years. And his skill, his knowledge was travel related. And then it came a time in his career where he said, hey, I'm going to do something else. There's an opportunity out there that I'm going to leave travel and start this new program. Okay. And then what happened? What Stuart realized is, why should I throw away 40 years of skill and knowledge in people? Why not marry the two? And he created a niche, utilizing his past experiences, introducing this new opportunity. And I said, boy, this is worth talking about. So Stuart, can you tell us, I have about 5 or 6 questions I want to ask you today to stimulate the thinking of the listeners, stimulate the thinking to see how what you've learned along the way can help them as they decide maybe they want to change niches, or even if they want to get out of travel, or how your thinking could help them. So tell us what happened in the last year in your life. And don't take a year to tell us that. We don't have a year.
Okay, I appreciate it. I see a few people saying they can't see me. My camera's on. I want to make sure that depending on the grid that you have Zoom set at, you might be seeing me now as the primary speaker, or you may have it set so you can see everybody. So you can see me? Okay, just want to make sure, because I actually took a shower, I shaved, pressed my shirt so that it could be seen today.
Yeah, you're looking
Mike,
good.
thank you for having me on. Well,
always.
Please.
Thank
you so much. Thank you. And I see so many names I'm familiar with. So hi, friends. It's good to be here. Let me cut to the chase. Basically, right before the pandemic hit, I was already contemplating, what's my next move? How can I grow? I was never bored in the travel industry. Love it to pieces. Great challenge. In fact, in the travel industry, I just declared groups as my niche. And Mike, you know that. And so many, Danny and Bob, so many of you and Nancy on the call know that. Why did I do the niche back then in travel? Because just saying I was a travel and hospitality expert wasn't enough. Yeah, I would talk about sales and marketing and loyalty, and wrote a couple little booklets and got speaking gigs. But then I said, how can I better define me so that people would know when should they hire Cohen? And it was groups, and I have boot camp and this kind of stuff. So lo and behold, I said, what's next for Stuart? My favorite symbol is the ampersand. And what's next? And I was also simultaneously on this ADHD journey, having been diagnosed in my mid-40s, and diving into a whole new community. And then coinciding with the pandemic, I decided to go back to school and get my certification as a life coach.
ADHD is what, Stuart?
Attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And, you know, it was I'm not going to go into all those kind of details, but anybody on the line who maybe perhaps you have been diagnosed, you know, people who are, you have sons or family or daughters or parents who are, it was pretty profound discovery, but it wasn't until years later that I said, well, I need to learn more. And can I help others? And that's why I got my certification as a life coach. And I began that pivot, Mike, to do one-on-one coaching, to develop a speaking portfolio. And then I had talked to you, I had talked to even Bob, who's on the line here. And these concepts of, well, you know, you could do travel stuff too in that. And I'm like, wait, hang on there. Let me build, let me learn. Before I say I'm the expert, let me just figure out who I am in this new world of this ADHD community. And I got a speaking gig at one of the largest, and I'm telling you this for a reason, one of the largest national ADHD conferences in the world. And I met amazing people. They're these influencers, these content creators. They have hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram and TikTok, and these young people and middle-aged people who had all these followers. They're spreading beautiful, incredible messages, and at the same time, they've never met their followers. They've never met their people. They haven't met their tribe, and they're doing coaching. They're doing webinars. They're doing group events, but all virtual. Well, I didn't connect the dots then. That was back in November. I didn't connect the dots until earlier this year. So it was really just around the corner. I said, now, wait a minute, Stuart, you have some friends who had been peppering you with this idea. And at the same time, you met all these people. They have this need. They what an opportunity to bring them together. And I'm like, wow, I can connect my two passions, which is travel and groups, with my new one, which is the world of ADHD and helping ADHDers heal and grow along their journey of discovery and managing their ADHD in their favor. And suddenly I found my purpose. Now, I just want to say that that's a key word in this discussion, is my purpose. Passion is powerful. Purpose is super powerful, because I really feel like, Mike, I am in the groove. I am in the zone of should we say establishing a legacy, of finally feeling that I have so much work to do. I feel like I just graduated from college and I'm starting a whole new career. And you know, I'm going to start to talk more about the niche aspect of it, and how our friends who are with us today, you know, how I'm going to do this. And if you're already niching, perhaps it'll just validate what you're already doing, and maybe it'll give you an idea. Are you in the right niche? Are you still afraid to take that step in niche? Because for years, I'm saying the most successful agencies I know niche. And I've worked for cruise lines. I've worked for tour operators. I've worked for consortia. I'm not just saying that. I'm not blowing smoke. I've seen the numbers. The most successful travel agencies say no to 90% of the business out there, say yes to whatever their niche is, and they blow it up, man. They're wildly successful. So let me bring it to what I've just, I mean, this is truly the very first public announcement I've ever made. So everyone hearing this, except for two suppliers, two dear friends who I told to get their field, you're all the first to know. And the name of the company is ADHD Travel Retreats. Remember the word retreats, because Mike, we're going to get back to that. But what is a retreat? Okay, that's important. And notice the word ADHD is before it. So all of a sudden I'm saying, hey, I'm not financial retreats. I'm not entrepreneurial retreats. I'm ADHD retreats. I'm not just groups, I'm retreats. And already filed for a trademark, already filed for the LLC. I'm on the way. And the beautiful part is I get to do my coaching, my speaking, and I get to practice what I preach when it comes to group travel. So let me pause there, see if you have any questions, and then I could sort of get organic, or not organic, granular.
Yes, Stuart, I just want to make a comment. I know that it's probably my internet is coming in and out, but if anyone else is experiencing the audio coming in and out a little bit, we're just gonna have to bear with that. There's nothing we can do about it. I hope it's just my side, but Stuart, carry on, my man. Did you want to go check some of the chats to see if anybody wanted to say anything? I don't see anything in the chat box yet, Stuart. So why don't you just carry on and pick up on a little bit on the retreat versus the group aspect? Isn't that, yeah, why group and rather the retreat? Because I think that's very significant. And I hope people that you're getting, you've got to stretch this a little bit, but you can see how it can affect or how it pertains to you and your business. Okay, I hope you're getting it. Go ahead, Stuart, you're on.
So any travel agency can say, yeah, we do groups. And then they could say, well, we only do groups. I know agencies that that's their focus is groups. And then you could take it a step further and say, what kind of groups? Do you do honeymoon groups, wedding groups, medical groups? I mean, there's 1,000 different types of groups. And that's how we define a niche. And I've been preaching this for years, and everybody on the line knows this, is that, man, you can get pinpoint specific when it comes to a niche. You know, I was having a conversation with Royal Caribbean, their ADD compliance expert there for Royal Caribbean and Celebrity. And, you know, he was telling me about one of their most successful agencies. It's called Autism of the Seas. Well, guess what they do? Autism groups on ships. I mean, they don't even need a tagline to tell you what more they do. And I'm hoping with ADHD Travel Retreats, you don't even necessarily need the tagline to know what I'm doing. And the key right there is to boldly declare with pinpoint accuracy what the niche is, because then a consumer will say, I don't need you. I have friends or family who might need you, or wow, you're talking my language. I need you. It's that simple. And Mike, you always say this, there's two kinds of people in the world, the ones you can help, the ones you can't. Hey, if you don't have ADHD, if you have nobody in your life who's got it, you're not going to do business with me. It's really that simple. It's okay. And now it comes down to the message, the marketing. You know, what is it? Let's take the word retreat for a second. A retreat, if you look it up, it's defined many different ways, but in our industry, the travel industry, it kind of takes on a different meaning from a group or a conference. It's not necessarily under the MICE category. Perhaps it is, but it's very specific, you know, meetings, incentives, conventions, exhibitions. That's MICE. You know, a retreat has more of a wellness aspect of it. And so it's not just a vacation, but it is a little bit. It's not just a meeting, but it is just a little bit. It's a very special type of agenda. And just like with a meeting, like Mike, remember when we did our mastermind? It was very specific.
Right.
When I used to do my group boot camp events, it's very specific. Okay, a retreat is very specific, and I will have to get even more specific when we start to market a specific one, because now get this. So you have ADHD Travel Retreats, which in and of itself is a niche. But we could do retreats for families with young children. We could do retreats for couples where both couples are ADHD, or retreats where one partner has ADHD and the other is, as they say, neurotypical, non-ADHD. Okay, we could do it based on career for people who need to want to learn. Boy, how can I do better at work, man? I mean, Mike, you know this. I don't know if everybody who's with us today knows this about me. And there's no regrets here, because it's always the broken path that leads us to where we are today. And I wouldn't have it any other way. But for the 23 years, I worked in corporate on the travel industry. I worked for other companies. I worked for 11 different companies in 23 years. You talk about a broken road. You're talking about, not giving any one company more than 3 years of me. You've got a lot of people out there who have a real hard time with career. And should I disclose my ADHD? So, when I started to brainstorm in a brand new notebook, well, what would a retreat look like? Who's the primary target? All of a sudden, this tiny niche, and this is important, friends, this itty bitty tiny pencil, tip niche suddenly became huge, became vast. So a message there is, just when you think, oh no, if I say I don't do 99% of that business, but I do the 1%, you can take that 1% and make it vast, 100%. It's amazing when you really sit down and plan how you can take your niche, and it could be so much bigger than you ever thought. So first thing first is, even though niche means, special expertise, it don't mean it's tiny. It doesn't mean you're limited. In fact, you're unlimited. And so I'm just looking at a comment here. Bob said, Stuart, you can also segment retreats geographically. Absolutely. First of all, product-wise, of course, it could be on ships. It could be on land. It could be on resorts. It could be in the mountains at a chalet. It could be anywhere in the world, because ADHD is a global thing. And there's one other thing. It's very important to mention. While it's in my love circle, and if you've ever seen me do my presentation on your love circle, which will help you determine your niche, what's inside your love circle, what's not. That's how you determine what you really love to do and who you really love to work with, and the products you really love to sell, and destinations you love to sell, and the ones you don't. Oh boy, here we go. ADHD, the whole idea where I was going. Come on, Stuart, bring it home. Bring it home. Hold on. Give me a second. Can we fade and go to a commercial break? No, we can't. So, Lordy Lord, it was a big one too.
It'll come back. It'll come back. Well, let me segue. While you think of that, Stuart, let me segue off to another point, okay? Because the niche, the group, the opportunity, the pinpoint getting larger. Okay, I think we can see that. But now
it came back to me. Just so you know.
Okay, there you go. Good. Okay.
You want me to do it? Okay. Yeah. So there's another part of this puzzle that's really critical. Where am I going to get the people from? Right? Okay, big deal. So Stuart, you want to do ADHD Travel Retreats? You're new in this segment. But what are you going to who are you going to talk to? You're going to shout, go to a rooftop with a megaphone? No, it's a very defined list. Well, because I'm now in this community of these super influencers, they're the ones that have the following. So basically, in my new business, and everyone listening here too, just because maybe you know your passion and purpose in a specific segment, but maybe you don't have those followers. You don't have this massive list. You don't have 100,000 followers on Instagram, but you know people who do. So in my business, I have two constituents. I have the group leader, the retreat leader, which I'll define in a second. And then I have the consumer. And I don't go direct to the consumer because I don't know where they are. They're not following me, man. They're not in my funnel. They're not on my list. But you know whose list they're on? Do you know whose funnel they're in? These super influencers. Right? So what I'm trying to say is I will work with the publishers, the speakers who are already in the industry. I will work with these super influencers who specifically desire, they have a sincere desire to meet in person with their followers, the people who buy their books, the people who attend their webinars, the people who want to learn more and grow. Okay. And I'm going to teach them and show them. I'm going to take control and show them, all right, you're already, you've got your funnel. I'm going to show you the steps. In my case, it's group launch sequence, whisper campaign, shot across the bow, save the date. You know, we're going to go through the process, what I teach in my boot camp, and I'm going to teach them what to do, because all they need to do is get that message out, be sincere, and bring them in. Just bring them in. And then I will, hopefully I'll have a person on staff, or I'll collaborate with the person who will actually do the sales, do the service, take the bookings. But the beautiful part is here, I don't have to worry about that massive list. They've got the list. And as long as I know they're in it for the right reason, which means I will never, ever say to them, hey, you want to travel free? Do you want to go on a free vacation? That will never be my lead. That will never come out of my mouth, Mike. And I'm going to stop after this because I want to see if anyone has any comments on that. But I think the way to poison this is to immediately say, hey, you want to go on a free vacation? Because if you do that, Mike, that's all they hear. And they're just thinking they're getting their free vacation, but they've got to earn it. So I will follow the rules of a successful group launch, which is I will ask them. In fact, I had my first meeting with one of these super influencers. She's in her early 30s. She's amazing. And I'm going to say, hey, what do you want? What's your goal here? What's in it for you? Tell me, Trina. And I'm going to take notes. And if she says, well, I'd like to make a couple of bucks, or Stuart, is there a way I can go free, and can I bring my family? I'm going to meet her where she is, and I'm going to show her how she can earn that, because there ain't no such thing as gimmies when it comes to group. No such thing as gimmies. They need to own the success of the group. They need to work for it. So I'm going to do my best to eliminate the risks as I get into this.
Stuart, just to dot an I, a couple of things flashed across my mind. I think that's absolutely brilliant, the information you're sharing with us now. A mistake I made 30 years ago was that I had an opportunity to go out and speak free to the headquarters of Meeting Planners International. And I was a professional speaker. They wanted me to come out to Los Angeles to speak free to their meeting planners, their association. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made as a professional, I said, no, I'm a professional speaker. I get paid to speak. I would have been in front of 300 decision makers if I had said absolutely. Now, what Stuart said, he talks to the influencer, they get the group together. I go out and speak to one person, like 400 people. Listen, biggest mistake I made, one of the biggest mistakes in the last 40 years of public speaking. Yesterday, I sent an email to one woman who had control over an association with 2,000 people. I don't know who those 2,000 people are, but if I can get in with this one woman, she'll then carry the freight out to the other 2,000. So what Stuart said was absolutely brilliant. As you know, I write for Travel Research Online. I know Richard Earl. That's all who I know Richard. That's it. His magazine shoots it out to 75,000 people. So Stuart, brilliant. That piece of information, I hope everybody is taking notes out there, is brilliant.
And I want to comment. Thank you, Linda. It's good to see you too. Linda wrote in the chat, my group leaders still ask for more, even though we had an agreement letter. First, I want to acknowledge that you had an agreement letter. Travel professionals don't even have a group agreement letter. No matter what you call it, contract, agreement letter, or whatever. It's a handshake. It's, oh no, they're good people. We're friends, you know, that kind of stuff. And this is business, man. This isn't personal. So I'm glad that you have that. And you know, Linda, it's never foolproof, right, Mike? I mean, you can have, look, I'm going to give you, Linda, I'm going to give you a case in point. Mike and I, we have a lot of the same clients in the travel industry. And there's certain clients, inevitably, they'll call, oh, could you jump on stage and do a quick 15-minute bada bing, bada boom while you're there? And we have a firm contract that says we're going to do 2 45-minute workshops. Could you do a little extra? So it happens. We all ask and expect that.
Well, Stuart, that's the key point. Expect that, because we teach in sales, if you don't ask, you don't get. I mean, the nerve of somebody in row 36 to come to a United flight attendant and say, excuse me, can you bump me up to first class? The nerve of that. Go ahead, ask. If they say yes or no, you don't, they're going to say no, you go back to row 36. So Linda, let them ask all they want, but there's a word in the English language that many people are not very good at saying, and that is the word no. Politely, of course.
Yes. And obviously it's all situational. It's one of my favorite words, because everything like the situational, right? It all depends on something else. So it always might be a good idea to save a little something in your back pocket, let's say, because you know, one of the things I advise is never to show your group leader your contract. That's your contract. You own that. You sign that with the supplier. It's none of their business what you got, what you negotiated. My gosh, one of the things that keeps me up at night is that you got group leaders out there, group leaders that know what a gap point is. Boom. So once they know, it's like playing poker with all your cards face up. You can never win, ladies and gentlemen, when you're showing your cards. Keep something in your back pocket. And whether you use the bonus commissions or the gap points or this and that and a couple extra points, that and because what if they don't ask and you see they're doing a great job? Wouldn't it be great to give them a little goose and say, hey, Trina, I got something special for you. You're doing great. If you can bring in 5 more or 3 more, or heck, you're doing great. Here's a little gift. Here's chocolate covered strawberries on your pillow. I mean, whatever. Or, hey, here's $200 on the trip. Go ahead. Treat yourself, buy a cocktail on me, treat your friends and family, get a sandwich when you're in Jamaica, whatever. I think it's always a good idea to have a little reserve in your back pocket if they should ask, or if you can leverage it. And like Mike said, sometimes you have to say, it's a great ask. And you know what? If you bring in 12 more, sure, it's yours. Yes.
Yeah. And actually, you almost want them to ask, because that shows that they're eager. And then you then say, yeah, great question. And here's how you can get that. You go get 5 more cabins, and it's, there you go. It's the incentive. It's the carrot. I like that. So you want the people to come in and show some initiative. And then you have don't say no to them. Just say, hey, for that to happen, we need to do this. Bada boom. Yep.
Yeah. And there's another element here. And I know we're not necessarily getting off the niche track. We're still talking groups here, but this is part and parcel to this conversation, which is that's why in the group agreement letter, I strongly encourage you to specifically list what is included, as part of your arrangement and what isn't included. Because if it's only on the including list, that I may make an assumption, oh, I'm sure gratuities are included. No. I'm sure that transfer, no. So that's why specifically saying, here's what's included and here's what's not. So they realize that, hey, I'm going to call Stuart or Linda or Carl and make a special request. It says here, it's not included. Hey, Stuart, it's not included. How can we work this out some way? Okay, let's have a conversation. Maybe we can.
Good stuff.
Right? You want to eliminate ambiguity. Look it up, Mike. It's a good word. Ambiguity.
I wrote that down. Yeah, I've got that. I think you covered the point, Stuart. I wanted to ask you about when you don't have a list, how you go to market, and you go through the influencer because they have the list. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I want to do that. And speak a few words on, in my 50 years of business, personally, have never seen a partnership that worked. Okay, I just haven't seen it work. I've seen them start, I've seen them flourish in the beginning, but I don't see them last. Entrepreneurs, because it's such a lonely game, we seek partnership. We want security in numbers, safety in numbers. When you go out and collaborate with somebody as a partner or a collaboration, how do you handle that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because there were recently 2 partnerships that I went forward with that didn't work out. They just didn't work out. And I went forward with them in my eagerness and excitement and fooled myself into thinking, it'll be different. And it'll work out just fine. And in fact, it didn't. So rather than calling it a partnership, which I think may have take on a bigger definition, okay, like a co-owner or a joint partnership, how about a joint venture, a JV, a one-time deal? Hey, Mike, you and I have known each other for a long time. We've never had a partnership. We've had many, many JVs, joint ventures. We've done a ton of stuff together. Right. It's a defined project. Here's what you do. Here's what I do. Here's our investment. Here's our profit split. Here's how we'll use our lists. Bada bing, bada boom. And we've never had a kerfuffle. Look that up too.
Right after ambiguity. And I know Bob Schaefer's on the line. Bob and I have 8 or 9 successful cruise meetings together. But again, we're both seasoned enough to know that it wasn't a partnership. It was a joint venture or a collaboration that worked famously. But that partner, I just wanted your feel on that, because there's no such thing as a bad honeymoon. But over time, things break up. And I would just be leery when people have an idea not to go into a partnership too quickly, if at all, is my call on it.
Yeah.
Stuart, I know we're going to go back, we're going to circle back, but I want to just address some of these, one other point here. How are you going to determine, what's your benchmark of your new venture being a success or failure? How are you going to gauge your success moving forward?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I'm going to walk before I run, and I have my first meeting with one of these persons I've targeted as a potential group leader. And by the way, I'm not going to call them group leader. They don't need another title. They've already got enough titles. I know that they're going to serve that purpose, by the way, but I'm not going to call them that. They don't know anything about it. So I'm going to have a conversation. I'm going to ask a lot of questions. What's your vision of a retreat? When you hear the word retreat, what do you see yourself doing at a retreat? What are your goals? What do you want to get out of it? What's your mission? Where do you want to go? I'm going to ask a lot of questions, and I'm going to do this with several of these influencers. And then I'm going to pick one person, and I might actually, because they're friends, they each have friends. I might actually say, hey, Trina, do you want to do it with this person here and do it together? Because the whole idea when you're doing your first one is to eliminate all chances of risk. So if I have two really big, powerful leaders, because there's no guarantees here. There's no guarantees people are going to go. Just because you have 150,000 followers doesn't mean 3% of them are going to buy. They follow you. Big deal, right? So we're going to test it out. And the whole idea is to have the most powerful first group by see if we can even joining forces two people. So it's so desirable. The price is right. The opportunity is right. Everything, right? It meets the group viability test. And let's see, well, let's start small. Could be a dozen, could be 2 dozen. I'm not sure of the number. Let's sell it out. I'm going to walk before I run. How will I know it's a success? That when I start having more conversations with more of these influencers, when I talk to some of these publishers or these speakers, and I see, hey, sign me up, man. I've always wanted to do a retreat. And we actually go forward with one as our first, as a test. That and it works. And if these influencers follow through, if they do what they say they're going to do, these group leaders, which I believe they will, because I'm going to screen them. I'm not going to beg them to be a group leader, by the way. I'm not going to say, oh, please, lead this group. You can make money, you go free, bada bing. No. And I'm not saying, I want them to really want it to work. I'm going to vet them. And there's some people going to say, listen, maybe you're not ready yet. Let's talk again half a year or whatever. And I want to see if my phone rings. I will be partnering. This is key. I want to mention this too. I'm going to partner with some of these ADHD organizations and say, hey, do you currently do this with your organization? Stay in your lane. Important words, by the way, Mike. I'm going to say that to these influencers. Stay in your lane. I'm going to say that to these coaching organizations. Stay in your lane, and I'll take care of all the logistics, all the headaches that you think of when you think of travel. They'll be mine. And I'll say that with a big smile. Because we all know the only reason why a consumer hires a travel agent is to blame somebody should something go wrong. I mean, that's the truth. So I will know it's a success after having several conversations with different people who are my ideal, I think will be my ideal group leaders, and actually doing a launch. So that's step one. Then step two is actually doing a launch and giving it enough time, right? I can't be promoting a group that's going to happen the end of March. That's too close in. Right. Dot the I's, cross the T's, put everything in place beautifully, give it the best chance for success. There's no guarantees it's going to work.
Right. Stuart, before I give you the last 10 minutes to wrap up, this is not a commercial, it's a segue, but I wanted to just show people on the line. Stuart speaks eloquently, he speaks naturally from the heart, and I just want to emphasize the point, folks, what goes on behind the scenes, behind your scenes in developing a group or a business, is that Stuart and I have been on the phone a couple times this week, and I told you I was going to show you these papers. These are questions that Stuart and I went over this week. We wrote the questions down. We knew we were going to do this interview, but we didn't say, hey, let's do an interview, turn on the machine, and we'll wing it. We'll wing it. Because we've been in the business 40 years, we can just wing this stuff. I want to show you the homework that went behind the last 40 minutes of Stuart's presentation right here. And I'm sharing that with you to emphasize the point that your success is going to come largely from the homework you do behind the scenes in preparation before you meet with a client, before you meet with a prospect, before you make the phone calls, you do the research, you ask the questions, and then you decide what you're going to talk about, what you're not going to talk about, and then you carry on. And you can learn the same lesson on the evening news. They play the same game. But I just wanted to share that Stuart and I, we just don't wing these things. There's some thought that goes into this. And I'm hoping that you people out there don't take shortcuts, because it's not the shortcut. It's the research, it's the homework that'll get you to where you want to go. So Stuart, did you want to add anything to that before you carry on?
Yeah, I agree. It's getting a notebook out, however you think things through, and giving every aspect of it very careful consideration, having conversations with, like I did, with your mentors, with your coaches, with other people in the business, because sometimes just hearing yourself say the words helps you understand, hey, that's a good idea, or it's not a good idea. Speaking with the suppliers too, the brands too, getting an idea of the competitive marketplace, and hey, do you still want groups? Yeah, they do, but they want groups to stick. They're sick and tired of 50 years of groups that just fall apart. You book 50 and they take 2. So, I know what they want. So really doing your homework and sketching out everything that can go right and everything that can go wrong. That's why you call me the wrench, because sometimes I'm a little too quick at saying, hey, there's something there that doesn't feel right, because I'm a visual thinker. And I think we have to address that before it goes wrong. I can it's intuition. We all have intuition. Do we listen to our intuition? And by thinking things through and asking a lot of people, it'll help you build a foundation.
Stuart glossed over that I did nickname Stuart the wrench years ago, because every time I asked for his opinion on something, he would throw in a monkey wrench, and he would really wrench you. He would give it the once over, which I learned to depend on over the years. So whenever I have something important to shoot out, I'll always send it over to Stuart to say, give it the old wrench and let me know what you think, which he gives me. And everyone out there, you should have somebody to do the same thing. And that's where the help comes in. You can't do it alone. You need help these days. You need some candid opinions if you want to be the most successful you can be. Stuart, is there something, we're right on schedule here. Let me just look at this. We did target markets. The question we wrote down is, you don't make deals with your group leaders. There's no deal. Is there, under the contract, what specifically would you tell them? What sort of deals can you cut with a group leader was the question. Number one, we're not going to call him a group leader. We got that one. I like that. Yeah. But he is going to say what's in it for him. And how would, if he says that to you, how do you address that question? Why should my life is simple, Stuart. From Monday through Friday, I got it down, and now you're introducing this, what's in it for me?
What do you want to be in it for you? If you have the desire to meet with your followers, the people who have bought your book, the people who watch your webinar, the people who take your coaching, the people who you're looking to inspire, you're looking to teach, you're looking to elevate and improve their lifestyle. If you've ever wanted to meet in person with them, this is what the retreat does. It helps you connect with your people and give them lift. But I would say to them, you have to define what that looks like. If you have it in your heart and in your head that you've always wanted to, and maybe you've done it before, but you really want to get together with them and influence them in a different way, to have personal contact, to sit in a circle and have a group event, to have a think tank, to have a brainstorming session, to go sit by the pool and have a margarita with these people and chit chat, to help remove the shame from ADHD, which is my goal. Whatever, and I'm talking to you, Mike, as if I'm talking to a potential leader.
Yeah.
If you don't have that desire, if you're writing your books, if you're selling out of your online launches, if you're doing great, I wish you nothing but success. I'm not going to convince you to need to do this and want to do this, even if you got 1 million followers. And I'm going to give you an example. There's a guy, his name is Peter Shankman. He wrote an extremely successful book called At the Speed of, where is it? Where? Oh my goodness. Where is it? It's right here. Hold on there. Oh, I don't want to rip my headphones out. Here it is. This book is right here. Peter Shankman, Faster Than Normal. Okay. And he wrote this book, and he's a big shot. When I say a big shot, he gets paid a lot of money speaking at events. He just, his publisher advised him not to write the follow-up because his book is still selling so well. He just wrote a children's book. He gets called to be a voice on news programs. Okay, Peter Shank. Well, I got him to do an interview with me because I'm also writing a book, ADHD Unshamed, 100 Success Stories. So here's my point. I'm going to go to Peter and say, hey, Peter, do you want to do an event? Do you want to do a retreat? Do you want to host one? Do you want to be in person with your people, with your tribe? And he may say to me, Stuart, I got 1.5 million followers on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. No, unless you're going to pay me $100,000. No. And I'm going to say, Peter, you're a great guy. You're amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. This just isn't right for you. So, sometimes sometimes people, can get greedy. Sometimes it's not on their radar. It's not even in the top 10 or top 100 of things they've always wanted to do. I'm not going to try to convince them. Either they want to or they don't.
Stuart, it's that you going to call Shankman up and ask him, you did or you're going to?
I'm going to. He doesn't know yet.
Okay. Well, I just want to share this, that this author, he's in every Barnes and Noble across the country. He's got about 5 of these books. I love these books. Because I love them, I called him up and he called me back. And we had a delightful discussion. And years ago, I even interviewed him on one of my early shows. But this is proof that when you want to touch base with somebody, folks out there, you can do it. Okay, I spoke to this guy. Stuart's going to talk with Shankman, and who knows what's going to happen. And further to that point, everybody on the inner circle, I think you've known this story from me, is that when I met that woman on the Cabo cruise who wrote a letter to some TV personality out of the blue and said, let's do a cruise ship with your followers. They knitted sweaters, whatever they did. I went on and I saw 150 people knitting sweaters in Cabo. And she said, I wrote the woman a letter. The woman said, no, I'm retiring. I don't have time. This does not interest me. And the last sentence in her letter was, oh, what the heck? And she did it. And it became an annual cruise of 150 people knitting sweaters on cruise ships. So make the phone call, write the letter, go after these influencers because they're people like us. They speak funny to their dogs. They all have problem with their kids. They're complaining about everything going on in the world, and they're just us. So don't hesitate to make that phone call or write them a letter or to email. There you go.
I appreciate you say that, because there are there are celebrities, chefs, the Virgin CEO, Richard Branson. There are the CEO, I think, of Southwest, who have made it public. They've just said they have ADHD. It doesn't intimidate me. I would call any one of them. I may never get them, and they could slam the phone on me, or they could say, okay, let's have a conversation. Stranger things have happened. And before I go, I don't know, Mike, it's up to you. Do we have time? Bob said if there's time, he
Yeah, I
wanted to
saw
add a
that. I
comment.
saw that.
Yeah.
Let me go to Bob and see, Bob,
Okay.
we do have a couple of minutes. Let me go to the.
And by the way, while you're getting Bob on, I wanted to tell everybody that I'm also going to look at sponsorships. There are companies that make fidget toys, for instance, and not necessarily, I could go to these pharmaceutical companies too, of course. However, I think there's a good opportunity, and everybody should think about that. When you do the very niche group, you might be able to get a sponsor to use this trip as an incentive for their own salespeople. They'll buy cabins or rooms, or to donate 100 water bottles with the logo on it, or fidget toys.
Excellent point, Stuart. Before I put Bob on, stand by, Bob. But before I do, I want to rewind 50 minutes and remind you of something Stuart said early in the discussion today, which I thought was brilliant. He said he had to get up to speed with this new topic. So he went down to the association meeting in Texas, spent his own money, his own airplane, his own hotel, and spent 3 days meeting people at the trade show, at the association meeting. And that is brilliant. That if you want to create a new niche, go to their trade show, go to their association, pay your dues, fork up the couple of bucks, invest in yourself, and don't go for the shrimp. Go to meet people into every single booth and to meet them, make contacts, knowing that that is going to be your future. And that's exactly what Stuart Cohen did. And now he has phone calls to make, people who answer the phone because he went to Texas and went to that trade show, the ADHD trade show, because he knew that was the right maneuver. No shortcuts there. Stuart, that's brilliant, man. That's genius. That's genius. And I will say this, it's logical genius. That's what it is. Let me unmute Bob here. Bob, keep this somewhat short. We're running out of time, but I think you are now live, Bob. Go ahead. I unmuted you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Got you, Bob. Got you.
Okay, well, real quickly, in addition to what Stuart said regarding social influencers with 1 million or more followers, we tend to overlook the influencers among our existing client list. For example, my best client is a medical doctor, and she belongs to a hidden Facebook group where all of these women doctors don't use their real names because they don't want their patients following them on social media. And they are prohibited from promoting anything. However, they can answer questions. So whenever one of them says, do you know a good travel agent? My client will recommend me. And over the years, I've probably gained 15 to 20 new clients as a result of it. Well, recently I get, this was a week ago or so, I get a phone call from one such doctor who wanted to, she had been told I was the person that she should be working with to plan her trip to Europe. And so we talked about it. We started working on it. And 2 days later, I get a call from a second person who happens to be her friend who lives a couple blocks away. She's not a doctor, but she wants to book a trip to Europe. And the next day after that, I get a call from a third person, this one living in South Carolina, who wants to book another trip to Europe. And so all 3 of these new clients fell out of one recommendation. And so my point is, don't overlook the influencers who are part of your existing client list.
I
Excellent,
like
Bob.
it.
Excellent.
I agree. And you don't know it until you ask.
Yep.
You don't
Well,
know it until you ask.
And you may not know it even after you ask.
Thanks, Bob. That's really cool.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob, for adding that. And never mind. I'll talk to you later, Bob. It wasn't that funny anyway. Okay, so you're muted up, Bob. Thanks for the input. Stuart, I want to thank you for taking your time to chat with us today. I, for one, enjoyed every second of it. I mean, you really did a great job. I hope the viewers, let me go to the chat box here. Everybody, if you're really ecstatic with, or not ecstatic, but happy with Stuart's program, let me see in the chat box. Put ones in the chat box here. Wait, where's the chat box? First of all, you got to find the chat box. How come chat box? Okay, there it is. There, let me get rid of this. I really thank you, Stuart, for doing that.
It's a pleasure.
Oh, it's 1,000. Everybody, Stuart, you hit the home run, man. This is perfect. Okay, this is.
Well, you only
perfect.
get one option. So
Oh,
it
well, I
worked.
only
It's
get
like
one
you-
option. That's all, right? And incidentally, I forgot. That's a 1 out of 10, Stuart. That's
Oh, okay.
10 was the top. One, you got a lot of ones. That's a perfect deal. Okay, you're getting pretty good at this public speaking game. I've taught you well.
Yeah.
But you can see all
Thank you. Yeah.
good friends. You know most of these people on the line today, Stuart. They're all
Yes.
names that probably came back
Yeah.
from the past. Some mastermind people. Stuart,
Yeah.
we all wish you every bit of success in this new venture. And I don't think you need any luck, because I know you're going to think this through and you're going to make it work like you've made everything else in your life work, including becoming a 2-time Ironman. So there you go.
70.3. Yes.
That's all right. The 70.3 Ironman. Yeah, you're the man. And
Thank you.
and I just can't thank you enough. I got a great program. Everybody's got to go now because it's 2:00. It's lunchtime. Stuart, I owe you one, buddy. However I can help you, let me know. Thanks again. Say hi to K-Joy for me, and I'll say over and out. Folks, thanks for taking the time to listen to Stuart today. I hope you got as much out of it as I did. Thanks, Stuart.
Thanks. Good luck, everybody. Bye.
Bye.